Friends, today we look at this day in history, and this day in history saw the beginning of the Iraq War in 2003. 20 years ago today, when George Bush ordered the first strikes on the city of Baghdad. It was probably the first time in modern Western history where the tactic of fighting a war was justified as a preemptive strike, and thus stretching and indeed going beyond the generally held understanding of the just war theory that one should only go to war when done in self-defense, when one is attacked. It is perhaps appropriate today to solemnly remember all those who died in the Iraq War, and one can think of the 179 UK soldiers that died, and perhaps also the 4,487 US service personnel. But it's also more difficult to estimate the number of deaths of Iraqis, depending on how one counts those deaths. And some estimate that around 100,000 to as many as 1 million Iraqis died as a result of the Iraq War. And so today we remember all the mothers who lost loved ones in that conflict. The mothers of the UK soldiers, the mothers of the US service personnel, and the mothers of the 100,000 to 1 million Iraqis who also lost their lives. Whether the war in Iraq made the world a safer place is clearly disputed. Tony Blair continues to defend the UK's involvement in the war as having been necessary for Western security. Others in the UK suggest that the Iraq War was a terrible mistake, the consequences of which continue to be felt today in the ongoing threat of terror attacks and also in the migrant crisis. And then also today, in 1937, the astronomer Fritz Zwicky published his research on stellar explosions, in which he coined the term supernova, and he hypothesized that they were the origin of cosmic rays, which is just a reminder of our kind of stellar origins, and that against the backdrop of cosmic history, we live very brief lives indeed. Psalm 8, verse 3 to 4 reads as follows: "When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers..." Sorry, this is George burying himself into my little drawer here. I'll read again from Psalm 8. "When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what are human beings that you are mindful of them, mortals that you should care for them?" And then a translation from Eugene Peterson reads as follows: "I look up at your macro skies, dark and enormous, your handmade sky jewelry, moon and stars mounted in their settings. And then I look at my micro self and I wonder, why do you bother with us? Why take a second look our way?" Just some thoughts for today, this day in history, as we reflect on them in light of Mother's Day and also our faith. Amen. God bless.